let's step back to when you joined Hotels.com and evolved as a leader. What was your vision for that product within Expedia?
Yeah, man, that changed a lot too through the years. When I first started, it was, we were pretty much still a startup in Dallas. And honestly, Hotels.com, it started off as a call center business. It was originally called Hotel Reservation Network. And the reason why it worked is because the original founders were able to go to the hotel groups, primarily the chains, and say, hey, I've got this small opaque channel phone, and I'm going to be able to sell a lot of rooms for you if you'll give us a discount. Give us a 10 or 15% discount, and it won't be visible. So it's not widely shared. It's only through this 1-800 number will people get this, and we're going to advertise it, but it's going to be, you have to call to get it. And that's how they started. And then, around the 2002-3 time period, they created their first website. And, at that point, consumers were starting to adopt internet technologies and come on to internet websites to do business. And so when I walked in the door, we had a pretty rudimentary website in 2004. Right, like maybe in the first 3 months I was there, most of the chains came back to us and said, hey, look, now that you're visible with these discounted prices, that's not good for us. It used to be opaque through the phone. Now it's visible. You're hurting our business, our brand. And so they pretty much enforced a rate parity clause for us. They said, you can't have a lower price than we do on our own site. And so our strategy legs were cut right out from underneath us. And so we pivoted. We pivoted towards, and it's not too dissimilar to the positioning that it is today, but this point in time, we had a small group of people that would go to each of the hotels we signed up, and they would inspect, if you will. They had a questionnaire that they would go and, it included food quality and, cleanliness and, level of luxury and all that kind of stuff. And so we pivoted. We went to a brand strategy of we're the hotel experts. And we had a whole brand campaign that kind of focused on being the hotel experts. And over time, that kind of just continued to evolve. And in the recent incarnation, it's been up for now almost 8 years or so, 7-8 years, which I'm sure you've seen Captain Obvious. And Captain Obvious came about by saying, look, if you're going to go book a hotel, why go anywhere else besides hotels.com? It's the obvious choice. That's where it started from. And so, our positioning and strategy really was about, we have more inventory than anybody else. It's in our name, hotels.com, which was a brilliant stroke by the original founders to go and get that URL really early. We have all the information and content you need to make a decision. And so why go anywhere else? It's the obvious choice. So that's where the business kind of evolved from a strategy perspective. It's been very successful for them.
And how did you compete against Booking when they started to enter with this agency model versus the merchant model that the US market was so used to?
Yeah, man, this is, I'm sure there's a Harvard business strategy case on this somewhere. I actually look at how Booking operated against us as a classic strategy example of how you compete against your biggest rival. I feel like Booking basically took a look at what we were doing in the US and said, these are the gaps I see from a consumer standpoint, and here's how I'm going to fix it. So it starts with, look, they had a different approach in Europe. Having grown up in Europe, they understood the different cultural differences, the currency, the language. That was key to them. And creating a website that was specific to that country with that language, and having an individual one for each of those countries, as bang on, spot on. They should have done that right off the bat. And then they look at us, at the time we were a merchant model where you pay up front as a consumer. They knew that wasn't going to work in Europe because that's not how consumers work in Europe. And so they said, we're going to change that and only have consumers pay after the stay. So that gave them a competitive advantage on that from that standpoint. And then they look at our margins and they say, okay, well, Expedia is charging most of the world 25 to 30%. let's just start off at 15 and make a simple, really 1 or 2 page contract that we can go into these, thousands of independent hotels in Southern Europe where lots of Northern Europeans like to go for vacation. Make it super simple for them to sign up, and we'll be their marketing arm. They don't have the technology skill set. It's not a big chain driven market like it is in the US. We'll be their marketing arm. And so they undercut us on price. They had a better product, pay after stay. They made it, super easy from a customer experience perspective by having the right, a website per country and language and so forth. And they move very, very quickly. And so, it's I've often used the analogy of when Henry Ford created the production line to create a car. That's exactly what Booking did in terms of getting it right all the way through the market. They sent skilled people to each hotel and knocked on the door and said, "Here, we can bring you more room nights a year. Super easy. It's only 15%. We'll be your marketing arm." And then they translated in every language that it was important. They put it on every website, and then they turned on the spigot of SEM. And it's just like a machine. It's a production line. When they did that, they just turned on tons and tons of demand for these independents, and it worked like a charm. And so for us at Expedia, that's one of the reasons why Hotels.com moved its world headquarters to London in 2009, is because we were behind in Europe, very strong in the US, behind in Europe and going east. And we really needed to have a presence there to better understand the market dynamics so that we could compete better. And eventually we created an agency model and reduced our fees and so forth to try to compete better, and got better and better at it. But yeah, it is a classic strategy example of competing rivals.